Welcome back, True Seeker. It is the leap day, February 29th, 2024, the 60th day of the year. The headlines early today: Trump and Biden both going to be in Texas over the border and where the wildfires are raging. And it's no accident this is happening on the 60th day of the year. Of course, the upcoming presidential election will be the 60th U.S. presidential election. And we know what Donald Trump's been up to. The man whose name equals 60 in Gematria, who lost his ex-wife exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuitic nation year. I'll cover that later today. More on Texas. What I want to talk about this morning is the headline out of Israel and Gaza, where reportedly at least 104 people were killed while waiting in a line to be fed. And they're saying the IDF opened up an attack on this food line because they suspected there was some kind of Hamas activity. And they're saying, it was gunfire, it was artillery, it was tanks, and it was drone strikes on a food line. And this comes after months of blowing up hospitals because supposedly Hamas activity. And what this has looked like from day one is a genocide. And for a long time, Gaza's looked like the place of genocide. Not a lot of adult men, a lot of rubble, a lot of buildings blown to pieces. If you're new here, I would encourage you to go back and look at my video from December 29th, 2022, the day Netanyahu came back. I'd also encourage you to watch the video I put out on October 4th, the day of the emergency alerts in Russia and the US on the same day. In the December 29th video, when Netanyahu came back, we explained why there was going to be a major war ritual in Israel starting in 2023, around the time Yael would turn 322 years old. And again, that happened on October 9th. This war began on October 7th, 2 days earlier. There were specific reasons we made that prediction. Then on October 4th, when the emergency alerts happened in Russia and the US, we said, wait a minute, this is pointing to Putin's birthday on October 7th. And look at all the things that line up here. Sure enough, the war begins on October 7th, the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan after 9/11, as they call this Israel's 9/11, the supposed attack on the concert goers. But again, it was that 10-4 alert that was the huge immediate clue right before this all went down. And now today's headline is at least 104 dead. If you're new here, what we talk about is how important numbers and dates are in history and the Bible, which is numbered because the Bible is used as a playbook by these people. Again, it's not an accident that the Jewish nation of Israel, established after the World Wars, was created on the 14th of May, 14/5, like 145 as it's written in the majority of the world, when there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. And go figure that today's latest ritual comes 145 days after the war begun on a Thursday, which is named after Jupiter, which is Zeus, like Jupiter, Zeus, like Jesus, like how it's the Society of Jesus, the military order of the Catholic Church that's behind the establishment of Israel, and the rituals like this that we see day after day. The IDF might have pulled the trigger, but soldiers take orders, and you have to figure out who the commander is. Again, they called the leader of the Jesuits the superior general. And we're going to talk about how today's ritual is clearly synced with him. Superior general is also known as the Black Pope. Pope Francis, the White Pope. If you ever heard the terminology of Black Pope and White Pope, the Black Pope's the superior general, the leader of the Jesuits. The White Pope is the Pope of the Catholic Church. And of course, also Benjamin Netanyahu. And again, if you're new here, we're going to talk about gematria. Most people are used to gematria within Hebrew or isopsephy within Greek. Again, the practice of coding numbers into words. What the world needs to learn is the English language is no different. Every letter is a number, and it was synced with the Gregorian calendar named after the Pope when they were both established in the 16th century. Again, at the same time period, the calendar was put into place, and English was standardized as a 26-letter alphabet. You can go all through history from back then up to now and see how perfect the rituals have been. And this is another one of these perfect rituals. So again, 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. Today, 145 days after the war began. If you're new here, Gematria of the English language. There are 4 base ciphers. The alphabetic order. That's where Catholic equates to 71. The war began 71 days before the Pope's birthday on Putin's 71st birthday. The alphabetic order with numerology. That's where Catholic equals 35. The war was declared by Israel the day after October 8th, 35 days before the Superior General's birthday. And that was the day leaving 84 days left in the year when Superior General equals 84. With the reverse alphabetic order, Catholic's 145, and with the reverse alphabetic order in numerology, Catholic is 46. And notice, today's a Thursday, right? Thursday has that gematria 35 and 46. And if you're new here, U.S. history, the first Catholic president, number 35, JFK, killed at age 46. The nation's second Catholic president, Joe Biden, number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. For the record, the first prime minister in Israel's history, David Ben-Gurion, his name's also 145. So, Thursday, you learn this code, you'll see that week after week, there's huge rituals with the number 35 on Thursday. It goes on in the markets. It goes on in rig sports. It goes on in the news. Notice, Gaza. This is one of the worst Gaza headlines yet since the war came. I mean, over 100 people dead, and they're saying another 760 injured after a massive food line of starving, malnourished people is attacked. Again, I just want you to think about all the movies you've watched Hollywood put out, like Schindler's List, where there's starving Jewish people during the time of the Holocaust, and there's mean Nazi bully soldiers coming over and picking on them and beating them up and shooting them. You've seen this in movies like Schindler's List and other productions Hollywood's put out. Isn't this kind of like the same scene? 1,000 people starving in a food line, desperate, and then next thing you know, they're being shot at. Drones are dropping bombs on them. Tanks are firing on them. I mean, really? Because supposedly there was some Hamas activity in the line. Like, where is it okay? Okay, let's say there was 10 Hamas in the line. So this is okay to open up fire on 1,000 people who are also mostly women and children? Even more interesting, Leap Day, because we get these once every 4 years. Leap Day is even 35. So how funny it falls on a 35 Thursday. And again, the Catholic Church venerates Jupiter. Thursday is named after Jupiter. In, mythology, Jupiter is Zeus. I mean, think about it. Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus, the Society of Jesus. Another contrived war between the Abrahamic religions that should all get along because they're all based in the same story. But again, you can't even get people within just Christianity alone to get along. So anyhow, here's the other big pattern. Today's date numerology is 75. And if you go back to my video from December 29, 2022, I explained how important it was that Israel was going to turn 75 years old on May 14, 2023. Today's date numerology is 75. It's the Pope's 75th day of his age. If you're new here in Gematria, all of these things equal 75. Catholic Church, Roman Catholic, Ignatius of Loyola, that's the founder of the Jesuits. New World Order, we're going to talk more about that one. Somehow, some way, people think the New World Order is a joke, even though leaders all over the world, including ours, have spoken about it many times. George H.W. Bush said September 11th, 1990, 11 years to the day of the big attack, that the New World Order will be realized. Order out of chaos is 75. You read today's headlines, a lot of them use the word chaos in the first sentence. It was chaos that caused the attack by the IDF. Again, if you're not familiar with order out of chaos, it's essentially creating a problem to bring about a planned solution. And in this case, it looks like a lot of the solution that, the powers that shouldn't be planned is literally the genocide of these people. World War III, funny enough, is 75. Some people arguing we're already in it. Look how many countries the U.S. is bombing in right now. Look how many feuds are breaking out all over the world right now. The whole top 21st century has pretty much been nonstop warfare for the U.S. ever since the attack on the World Trade Centers. Great Tribulation's a 75 thing. Some people think that's what's coming. Adam Weishaupt's another 75. And if you don't know who that is, that's the Jesuit who founded the Illuminati, May 1st, 1776. With regards to the New World Order and Israel being 75 and this being on the Pope's 75th day of his age, by the way, the Superior General, the leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa, he's 75 years old right now. Gaza is 75 years old right now. Gaza turns 75 in December. Again, back to this headline that came from early in the time of World War II. This headline's from October 6th, 1940. 33 years to the day later, the Yom Kippur War would start. And then this war in Israel began one day after the anniversary of this headline. One day after the anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, which it's been compared to. But look at the headline from the New York Times. New World Order pledged to Jews. And again, this coming from the New York Times is important because the New York Times was created by a Jesuit and it's always been controlled by Jesuits. The current head of the New York Times is a Jesuit. A lot of world media is controlled by Jesuits. Again, you learn who the Jesuits are, you start to see they're in prominent places all over the world. And, with regards to Israel coming out of what the Nazis did, the Nazis were modeled after the Jesuit order, and the Catholic Church turned a blind eye to the Nazis during the time of the war. And it's because they wanted to bring about this Jewish state. They want to bring about this conflict. They're trying to fulfill biblical prophecy, the Catholic Church, and they're contriving it all the way. So anyhow, New World Order, again, just has that 75 gematria, October 6th, 1940. Just like how today has 75 date numerology. Today is 2 plus 29 plus 20 plus 24 is 75. October 6th, 1940 was 10 plus 6 plus 19 plus 40, 75. And again, just the way it lines up with it being the 75th day of Pope Francis's age. Again, while Gaza's 75, while the Superior General is 75. You know what? Even the King of England right now, Charles, is 75, and that matters because who controlled Israel before it was Israel? The United Kingdom did. The United Kingdom controlled that territory. And the United Kingdom, like the United States, is under the rulership of the Vatican. And again, the Vatican, the Catholic Church, is a sun cult. What's that phrase with Britain? The sun never sets on Britain because it's colonized damn near the whole world. New World Order, 75. Now, today is the 75th day of the Pope's age. You could also say that it's 74 days after the Pope's birthday. And again, this war began while Gaza was 74 years old, while the Superior General was 74 years old. Israel was 74 in the start of 2023 before it turned 75. Netanyahu is 74 years old right now. And if you're new here, 74, super special number. Notice in Gematria, killing equals 74. Again, like 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents began on 74. 3 of the first 5. And the first 2 to die on 7-4 died on the same day, Jefferson and Adams, who were the most concerned founders about what would happen if the Jesuits came out of suppression. Research the letters they wrote about their concerns about the Jesuits coming out of suppression and how they could easily corrupt the newly formed nation, the United States. They both died in 1826, and then 1826 days later, Monroe died on 7-4. 3 of the first 5. Monroe, also not a big fan of the Catholic Church. Get the joke of 3 of the first 5 dying on 7-4. Parables also has the 74. That's what Jesus spoke in. Gospel, the story of Jesus is 74. Messiah is 74. Cross is 74. Jesus is 74. Again, Jesus not the original name. The new name in English is Jesus. We're talking about how the Society of Jesus gave us the calendar, which is a fact. Christopher Clavius, the Jesuit priest, is who created the Gregorian calendar. For the record, the word Pope equals 52, like devil, to go with the 52-week calendar, like Earth, which he rules over, another 52. But anyway, coming back to 74, Jewish is 74. Jesus is from Judea. Here we are talking about what's going down in the Jewish state, Israel, where the languages of Israel are English and Hebrew, 2 languages that are both based in numbers. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. That song out there, Gematria, the killing name. Our calendar remembers the killing of Caesar on the 74th day of the year. By the way, the word stabbing also equals 74, like the Ides of March, the 74th day of the year is to remember the killing of Caesar. And what happened this past year on Netanyahu's 74th birthday? You might recall the stabbing of the Jewish woman at the synagogue, which was a big international headline. A cult is also 74. And again, Netanyahu 74. And notice, 4 base ciphers, right? From Netanyahu's October 21st birthday to this ritual today, February 29th, is his 132nd day of his age. Both Catholic Church and Roman Catholic are 132. You want to add on to that list? England's 132 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. You want to add more onto that list? United States of America is 132. And again, the U.S. was named 132 days from the establishment of the Illuminati by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. And when was the Illuminati founded? Right before America. The Revolution, which, and by the way, the American Revolution began on the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola becoming the first superior general of the Jesuits, which we'll talk more about in a second. That was the 109th day of the year because military is 109, and today's 109 days after the superior general's birthday. But notice the Roman Catholic Church. There's the 75s up there like we talked about. The other numbers are important as well, but notice how Roman Catholic's also 60, because here we are on the 60th day of the year as this ritual goes down. All roads lead to Rome. It's the church that's responsible for Israel. And if you missed it, if you weren't following me in the time of the pandemic, where we literally called out everything before anything happened in the pandemic, like literally we called out when the lockdowns would start. We called out, when they'd start jabbing people way before it happened. We called out when, as soon as the whole thing began, we explained why it would end when the year of the tiger came around, like 2 years in advance. Again, through this knowledge, you can see what they're doing. But it was all Jesuits who were in charge of the pandemic worldwide as well. And again, just like how Jesuits were responsible for the world wars and used the Jews as guinea pigs for the agenda, was it any different in the pandemic? Which nation had the most jab mandates? Was it not Israel? Again, a lot of people are under this impression that Jews run the world and Jews are to blame for everything. And again, there's people of all faiths that are part of the Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt was a Jewish man who was a Jesuit who did found the Illuminati. But that doesn't mean all Jews are to blame. You look at what's been going on in the world, you can see how the Jews are used and abused for these ongoing agendas. Yes, you can also see how they control the media and suppress information like this. But again, my message isn't about blaming all Catholics. It's not about blaming all Jews. It's about just recognize what the controlling force is. It doesn't mean everybody who's Catholic is responsible. It doesn't mean everyone who's Jewish is responsible. Yes, the Jesuits are a Catholic-Jewish alliance. It's about just actually seeing what the power structure is and how they operate and what needs to be stopped. It's just like, Joel Osteen. He's supposedly a Christian. But at the end of the day, does he really care about other Christians or does he care about his own power and wealth? The Jews who run the media and who censor information like this, do they really care about other Jews or do they care about their own power and wealth? You know what I mean? Anyhow, understand, Arturo Sosa, the leader of the Jesuits, is 75. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, is 87. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, his name equals 75 forwards, 87 in reverse. And this is also why we explained that this moment in history, it's set for really massive rituals. And this year ahead, I expect it's just going to get more and more wild. Because notice, he's going to be 75 until November 12th, and the Pope's going to be 87 until nearly the end of the year. And I don't expect things to get better in 2025 either, for the record. But it's just, again, where we see how literally a world war is being instigated yet again by this same cabal, and there's a reason it's happening at this time. With at least 104 people killed. And again, how that 10-4 alert that went down 3 days before the war began being a big signal. Look at where the 104 also fits in with the IDF leading this attack today? At least 104. Again, and I'm sure the number will change. When I first got up this morning, it was at least 53 dead. And then it quickly jumped up to at least 104. And for the record, 53, the word religion equals 53, and that's what this is over. But then it jumps up to 104, and that's where they still have it. The Israel Defense Forces, that's the full title of the IDF. The Israel Defense Forces is 104. So is Roman Catholic Church. And again, the 104th NFL season was the first ever one that had the Super Bowl on the Vatican's birthday. Vatican equals 25. The winning score was 25. But anyway, here's the other piece of this. Like I mentioned, it's 145 days after the war began, which is true. You could also say it's the 146th day of the war. United Kingdom equals 146. Again, that's what controlled the territory that was Israel before it became Israel. And the thing about 146 with the IDF is it was established on May 26th, which is the 146th day of the year typically. So think about it. 146th day of the war, number relevant to the IDF, and then they're supposedly responsible for this onslaught of, again, over 100 dead, but nearly 1,000 more injured on a line of people who are in really bad shape and already in a super desperate place and waiting for food. I mean, it's literally like a scene out of Schindler's List. It's just some details have been changed. Instead of it being starving Jews in a smaller prison camp, it's starving Muslims in a larger prison camp, which is Gaza, being attacked with the technology of the times. Drones, artillery, modern tanks, modern rifles. And again, over what? The supposed attack on a concert that was a perfect ritual. Again, for perfect ritual, I just want you to see how Benjamin Netanyahu equals 282. Benjamin Netanyahu, 282. And he came back into power on December 29th, which wasn't an accident. Like we talked about that day, that's Albert Pike's birthday. Albert Pike, who wrote the letters about 3 world wars to come before any of them happened. And he said the third one will be over political Zionism. Israel's the Zionist nation of the world. But that letter by Albert Pike was published on August 15th, which is the day in history the Jesuits were created. And again, from December 29th, 2022, when Netanyahu came back, to October 7th, 2023, was 282 days later. Benjamin Netanyahu, 282. And again, literally nothing about that attack makes any sense. Literally makes 0 sense. Heavily fortified border. You know, it's like the least strategic place to attack. It's like, how did they get past all these Israeli defense forces? It's just like how 9/11 didn't make any sense. And just like how 9/11 was not done by a man in a cave who lived a life by the numbers. And for people who don't know, Osama died on his 54th day of being 54. Terrorism's 54. Islam is 54. He died on May 2nd, according to the history books. Terrorist is 52. The World Trade Centers, which equals 185 in Gematria, were attacked 185 days after Bin Laden's birthday, and Catholicism's 185, and mathematics is 185, and the sitting president, who was a big member of Skull and Bones, modeled after the Templars, the old military order of the church, referred to what we were doing in the Middle East after Afghanistan as a crusade. Again, those were the holy wars against non-believers and largely Muslims. Again, Muslims do have a spiritual faith, but they're considered non-believers. And I mean, is it really any different for most Christians today? I'm always getting attacked by Christians for being a non-believer when I constantly explain that I think there is a creator and people should live by the golden rule and live for a purpose greater than themselves. But see, that's not good enough to most Christians, because their mindset is that if you don't believe in Jesus, you're of Satan. And that's a really, really wicked spiritual belief to have about other people, especially when you believe so much in a book that came from the authorities that are major liars and who have used that book to justify the genocide of people all over the world, including the natives who used to live here in the U.S. Not to mention every tyrant swears in on that book here in the US. So for you to think that that's some holy text because it's called the Holy Bible, again, your head's full of holy shit. And yeah, so you know, the other thing that gave me deja vu is I woke up really early today. Sweet lady woke up too, and it was not even 4 in the morning, and both of us just felt wired. And I tried to go back to bed because it was so early, but I just felt like I needed to get up. So I was like, I wonder if something's going on in the world because this happened the same day that this war began. It was the same thing. I woke up. Both of us woke up, and just felt like I needed to get up, and then I get up and I see that this war's broken out in Israel. I'm like, well, didn't we just say to look out for October 7th just a few days ago? I don't know. I just find it weird about how it's like normally I sleep past 4 a.m. Normally I'm getting up around 5:36, but just felt so awake the day this war began, felt so awake this morning, and then get up and it's just like almost the same type of thing. And that's what I mean about energy too. It's like this evil, this chaos they create in the world, it does. It goes through. And some of us are more susceptible and more impacted than others. But when I woke up and saw this, I was like, no wonder. No wonder I felt so compelled to get out of bed. So it's like you got to get up and expose it, Zachary. Time to get up. But anyway, it's going to be a busy day like always. Yesterday was a marathon. By the way, I'm looking at my whole comment section. It's asking me people are asking me to decode things that I already decoded. I do this all the time. It feels like there's no point in doing it because people seem to never learn. But you really have to learn how to use YouTube. Again, you cannot just wait for stuff to pop up in your feed. For example, if you click on my channel, it'll take you to this page. Okay. So let's just do this again. And for the person out there who still doesn't know how to use YouTube. And I see a lot of veterans even asking for me to cover things. And I'm just like, God, they like, okay, I know they're around here a lot, but they don't even know how to look to see if a video's up. Nobody's getting notifications for every video I put out. No one. If something didn't show up in your feed, the video is probably still there. You go to the channel, and YouTube changed this last year. They've now divided videos into 3 different sections. Videos that are uploaded, shorts, which are like seconds long, minute long, and lives. So live streams are separate from videos, but you have to go to the channel and you got to click on the tabs to make sure the content wasn't posted. So this is the videos tab. Like yesterday, I covered the latest race ritual of killing a black man by the same code that I've written a book about, 5942. Right from the biblical verses of slavery, why they always do this to black people with the 5942 code. That was Michael Jones, aka Virgil. You know, I uploaded why Stacey Wakefield died 150 days after Tim Wakefield, what it had to do with his baseball legacy and why he died at 57. The video about the Texas wildfires, and we'll talk more about that because somebody had a great comment. I'll share that information later. Richard Lewis, you know, his passing, how it's synced with the new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. We've seen this before with other actors from the show. If you guys missed Twavith made an appearance on the show. Gary Sinise's son's announced death. And by the way, I did make a mistake in that video. They did announce his death on February 27th. If you read further into the article, he actually died on January 5th, 54 days from the article. And Gary Sinise equals 54. Sun, like the one in the sky, equals 54. Just think about it, like Jesuit orders 54. So anyway, all these videos are uploaded and then live streams. You know, we've been busy. We're always busy, but yesterday was like one of those super busy days. So you can see we have almost 200 people here, which is a damn shame. You know, 5 years ago, we probably would have had 5,000 people in the live stream. But the algorithm's really taken a toll on us. And yeah, so again, you got to go through it and look. I can't tell you how many people have left a comment. Are you going to cover the death of Jacob Rothschild? It's just driving me nuts. Am I going to cover the death of Jacob Rothschild? I mean, I covered it the day it happened. Like that comment's been left 100 times since I posted the video. So I can only imagine how many other people just will never come across this video because it's buried, didn't show up in the feed. It looks like it's still got a decent amount of views for modern day YouTube. Got 5.5K views. That's like good these days. In 2017, literally every video I got put out got 10,000 views within a half hour. So that's where we are here in 2024, 7 years later. And literally my work is probably 5 times better than it was in 2017, but it gets about 100 times less views. So anyhow. Yeah, please learn how to be, and this is the same for everybody's YouTube channel, you know? You wanna make sure your favorite YouTuber didn't cover something, or you look if they did cover it, and you see that magnifying glass down there? At the end, you can search. So, like, if I write Rothschild and search, it's gonna search for Rothschild in the playlist. And it's kind of weird what videos are coming up. Oh, there's the Jacob Rothschild one. Like, why did these videos come up? I don't have anything about Rothschild here. Huh. Well, maybe the search isn't working like it should, but the Jacob Rothschild did come up. There's a Evelyn de Rothschild video. Um, some of these videos coming up, though, I'm like, why? Okay. You might find what you're looking for, plus a whole bunch of other things, too. So we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Shout out to Leslie up early with the chat again. Thank you, Leslie. Did 2 of those yesterday. I'm gonna have to figure out why you always send 279. That must be your magic number. But I appreciate it, and thank you, Luna Bell, for becoming a new member. I appreciate that as well. And yeah, I'll definitely be back today. So there's a lot more to talk about. Thank you, everyone who hits the like and the share. And please do help this video get more views because people need to wake up. And again, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but did anybody else like nearly predict dead on when the war in Israel would begin the day Netanyahu came back? Did anyone else put out a video about what the 10-4 alerts were really about and how they pointed to October 7th and Putin's 71st birthday and to look for a big false flag to escalate a war in the world ritual? Because I know we did. And, you know, that's the thing. In 2018, we nailed a bunch of predictions and a bunch of new people came in. That was the last time I was able to get some nice traffic flow on this channel. And then it's like, ever since we covered Kobe's death, man, it's like, it's hard to get 5,000 views on a video. And again, Kobe's death while traveling from Catholic Mass, dead at 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age when Kobe Bryant's 41. So Kobe alone 15. Number 15's been in almost every Super Bowl ever since. You know, just won his 3rd 3 days after the Kobe statue went up. These things aren't an accident. Just like how the Texas wildfire, it's not an accident that started 15 days after number 15 won his latest Super Bowl near his old college, the Red Raiders, as he wins it in the Raiders Stadium. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Till next time.